Mike?
Hey, good morning. You're listening to Live from the Heartland. I'm Michael James. I'm here with Tom Clark and Katie Hogan, and we welcome all of you, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, hermanos y hermanas. And in case you're just tooling around on the dial and you're lost, well, you've found the right place to be. We're ready for a good show. We've got three wonderful guests. We're going to have Nick Sands. He's the artistic director of Remy Bumppo Theater about a new play called Hang. And then we're going to have Betsy Vandercook, and she's going to fill us in on everything you need to know about local school councils and elections. And we are honored to have Joseph Morganfield, son of Muddy Waters, talking blues and basketball.
Woo-woo.
So get ready for a good show. Good morning, comrades. How you doing?
Good morning, my
Michael.
brother.
Good morning.
Yeah. We need a mic here.
You're turning on the mic over there.
No, not really. Okay,
I
there
touched
we
the
have
mic.
the Loyola president appointed a high-level outside firm to examine recent incidents of alleged racial profiling by campus police. This is a mini follow-up on what we mentioned before. We'll keep an eye on that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have a very important forum taking place today in the neighborhood. Not welcome, the uneven geographies of housing choice. An 11 o'clock forum hosted by Network 49 at Potawatomi Park. We think it'll be a very informative look at one of the few remaining opportunities or tools that people have for affordable housing, which is a housing voucher, and the difficulty voucher holders have in actually finding landlords who will rent to them. So that's at 11 o'clock today at Potawatomi Park. Not welcome, the uneven geographies of housing choice.
That's going to be great. The other thing that's going on today in Rogers Park is the opening of the medical marijuana dispensary.
Hallelujah.
Indeed, Michael. Get yourself a disease and go get your medical marijuana. It's, I think the alderman who announced it was clear to say there will not be dispensing products today, but if you want to look at it, it's an open house today, and it will open to the public May 1st.
I just want to point out that what has been a challenging neighborhood strip has really been restored by the money that's been put into this former kind of strip mall location. It looks gorgeous.
Yeah, they did
Very nice.
incredible work. They're clearly prepared to make oodles of money.
Also, coming up this week in Rogers Park, there's going to be a walkout Friday the 20th from 2 to 3 by high school students who are seeking action on gun control. This is part of the continuing national movement following the Parkland shootings in Florida, and led by the high school students at Waldorf School, probably Sullivan, Chicago Math and Science Academy, and maybe some others will be convening Friday afternoon, ending up at the site of a recent tragic shooting.
God, too bad we have a site of a recent tragic shooting. So yeah, Paul Ryan, jumping a sinking Cheeto ship. Actually, I think Paul Ryan is setting himself up for oodles and oodles of cash to come into his pockets as a lobbyist. He understands he's going to lose probably to a Democrat next
An
week.
iron worker.
Yeah, well, or he's simply going to have to spend oodles of money to win against that iron worker. So he's heading that off at the front. We also have FBI Director Comey's book. I just want to say Comey is not a hero.
No.
Okay? Comey is a guy who's taking advantage of everything he can also to fill his pockets with cash. Morality does not enter in. Okay? Let's see.
Well, we could talk more about that. On another front, back to the local,
Yeah.
the International Pop Overthrow, which comes to the Red Line Tap, or the now called the Heartland Cafe Bar, is going to start next week, April 20th to the 25th. And included in that will be an Earth Day concert at the Heartland on April 21st, which is going to feature our guest from next week. I cannot pronounce this, but it's going to including Carlo Basili, sitar and guitar duo.
That's right.
For Earth Day.
Saraswatin Vina Rangatharan. I just mutilated that.
Yeah, I thought you would have known doing all that yoga.
yoga.
So do you think the current administration got a chance to mutilate the entire chemical weapon capacity of a certain Middle East government?
Look, I just I hate waking up to find out we've dropped bombs anywhere for any reason. And it's time for us to recognize that it doesn't stop anything. It just makes things worse.
But in the history of this kind of action, can't you think of some other bombings that really worked?
No, I cannot.
I can't think of one. I can't. I really can't.
But as BEZ was playing this morning with Scott Simon, there are times historically where we didn't intervene that we got criticized for. The big one was Hitler. Not our problem, not our war, for years while people were being gassed. Rwanda, Bosnia, Cambodia.
So what do you think the president's other legal problems and whatnot had to do with this particular timing?
Oh, geez, let's see. Distraction. Nothing.
Hey, Scooter is free.
I'm pretty blown away that he got England and France to join with him on this, given the way he's, behaved, frankly.
Or that he suddenly is paying attention to intelligence resources that he's been basically trashing for the last year. Not that I didn't kind of cheer him on with some of that, because that's what led to Gulf of Tonkin and wars in Central America and other stuff along the way, like the fake excuse for the war in Iraq, which of course was largely constructed for Dick Cheney by what? Our new National Security Advisor, Mr. Bolton. So he's not even 5 days on the job, and John Bolton got his first war. It's pretty amazing, pretty quick work.
I can't even stand hearing his name. All right, so let's see. Chicago Historical History Museum is opening a new show called Amplified, which is the Chicago Blues story. And they're going to kick it off with a talk by Billy Branch this Wednesday night. That's chicagohistorymuseum.org. And I'm sure we're going to be talking more about that because we have Lynn Orman part of our team.
And it's going to be there for 14 months.
Okay, so we'll get more into that. I think that's all we need to tell you today. We're going to start talking to our guests. You are listening to Live from the Heartland on WLUW 88.7 FM and WLUW.org. Like us on Facebook.
Worldwide.
Yeah. And let's see. Nick.
Hello.
Hello. And you are Nick Sands.
I am Nick
And you are
Sands.
the artistic director of Remy Bumppo Theater.
Right.
Which has been around for a long, long time.
21 years, yes. So
Have you been there all that time?
not all the time. I've been there since 2000, so 18 years. But and I took over the company 6 years ago, so as the artistic director.
It sounds like you could take it over.
Well, one tries.
Notice Katie's voice is starting to sound like our guests.
I'm so sorry.
It's all right. I do it with it all the time. Don't worry. People suddenly go, "Oh, I should be speaking like Nick."
We were talking.
He's an actor. He could have any
That's
voice
right.
he wants.
Yeah, that's true. We were talking about accents before we started. I hope I don't.
No, you
Feel
don't.
free. Just feel free. I'm used to
And
it.
he can talk Chicagoese if you want him to.
Yeah, if we need to go there.
So Nick, you guys have opened a pretty critically acclaimed new play called Hang.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to have you, a guy, here because one of the hallmarks of this particular production is how it's run by women.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's
So
funny.
tell us what the play is about and why you ended up with the artistic team being all women.
Oh, the play is called Hang by Debbie Tucker Green, who's a great black British woman writer. She's a big name in England and really not known here. This is the third of her plays that have been done in Chicago. And this is the US premiere of this particular show, so we're very proud of doing that. And it was done at the Royal Court originally. She's got another play done at the Royal Court right now. She's got another one that season next year, so she's a big name in England. And she's a fascinating writer. She writes like poetry, that's how she started. And the play, even on the page, looks like poetry. And there's the way she uses language is very inflected from her Jamaican family roots and that side of British culture. And so when I found the play, read it immediately, fell in love with it, and had our company read it, it felt very important that we had a woman at the head of it. So I had Kira From, great young director in town, to head it up. Virtually the whole team, it was women. One of the characters could be cast, the main character, they've just got numbers, 1, 2, and 3. And the main character is a black woman, and that's designated in the script. But number 2 could be cast with a man or a woman. And working with Kira, we decided, let's make this specifically about female experience, and I think that's made the play stronger. But what Kira did, which was lovely, 1 and 2 are bureaucrats. You can cast them with any sort of nationality or ethnicity. We decided to cast them as both white, so that there is very much a discussion about racial communication becomes part of the play. 3 is a victim of, it's like a police procedural, it's a mystery. You don't know what's going on. They know why they're there, but they don't explain that, and you pick up the clues as the thing goes on. And she could be a witness, she could be the victim, she could be a perpetrator, you don't know. And gradually find out that she is the victim of a crime, and she is there for a very specific reason, which is part of the bureaucratic use of justice and retribution and how that works. And as a victim, particularly as a coloured woman, she is somewhat invisible, and it's how she uses her silence and her words to gain power in the room. So for us, it's an unusual play for Remy Bumppo to do, because we tend to do classics, not modern classics, and Stoppard and Shaw and Albee and all those things. But it's about the amazing power of words right now. And for me, that's really what's currently in the culture, and how people have, with a culture that's now interested in things like microaggressions, and because particularly American culture, I think, we tend to forget how words have emotional power, and how just the shifting of one word can shift a whole room in the way people use words. And I think that's the power of theatre to do that. That's all we're responding to. And I think this is what this play's about. It's a fascinating and sort of tense 85-minute no intermission. You don't get out of that room with these 3 people.
I was just going to say, given the cloaked nature of the story and who's doing what,
Right.
is the audience attention more intense?
One of the things I love to say at the beginning of any of our plays, and you'll hear the voiceover sort of, and at the end of it I'll say, sit forward. Because I don't want people to sit back. Why are you in a room? Why are you in live theatre if you're not sitting forward to be in the conversation? And this is one of those
you're
plays
a
that just
pushy
sort of.
guy, aren't you?
I am. I tend to say, no. Why are you here? It's about the experience, and particularly with a play like this, which just puts you. I mean, we're doing it. The play is pushed forward. The scenic designer pushed everything, so they're right up close to you. And there's one door, and
No
the main
escape,
character.
in other
Yeah, I mean,
words.
3 doesn't leave. She comes in at the end. She's still on the stage at the end.
Wow.
No questions are answered. They are expanded. So that at the end of it, all the issues that it brings up, without saying this is about something, it's about how you experience that same interview. And so it's a really fascinating piece. And I think
Sounds
it uses language in a whole new way for people to experience the theatre. It doesn't sort of say, here are the rules. It says, there are no rules. Like a normal day in your life, there are no
Indeed.
rules. You've got to work out what's going on.
So in a week where our national discourse is revolved around words like slimeball,
Oof, yeah.
how do you, as an artistic director of a theater company that's so much involved with looking at language, how do you respond to our current environment?
I cringe. I mean, but also I love the fact that people are now, particularly with social media and the way words get pushed out, words become the tools for us to actually examine how power is being used. And I think those we should be allowed to have our emotional responses to how those words strike us. And share those and talk about those words, because they are being used casually as if that's okay. And you go, no, it's not okay in anybody's word to actually just insult people and then expect that to be how we go through the world. I mean, people are allowed now, and I think that's great, that with the Me Too movement, with the Black Lives Matter movement, everything is like, no, words matter. Those become part of the discussion about First Amendment rights, about freedom of speech, about where does hate crime land, and where do destructive use of language happen just as much as creative use of language. And I think that's a fascinating cultural debate in a culture that has championed silence for so long. I mean, I think it was Time magazine that mentioned, when it chose the cultural icon of American culture for the 20th century was the man with no name from The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. A man who doesn't say anything, and he stands for American culture. And you're going, I think there's something wrong here.
Or something missing.
I'm just going to shoot you, I'm not going to say anything. As opposed to somebody who expresses their feelings, or somebody who is actually erudite. And we're electing people because they sound like the man in the street, as opposed to they sound like they have an intelligence enough to run the local government or the government or anything like that. So language is distrusted here, and that's also a dangerous thing.
God, I'm getting depressed by the turn of this
Sorry,
conversation.
no.
So
Come see
I'm going
hands.
to ask about being part of the often called vibrant and wonderful theater scene in Chicago, and how that feels to be part of it. How do you
Oh, it's great. I mean, it's a competitive market, and as all markets should be to a certain extent, it's also a great dialogue. And I think people come to this city from other theatrical communities and go, wow, this is about. We're next season we're opening up with something completely different. We're doing it. Nick Dear's adaptation of Frankenstein, the one that was done at the Royal National Theatre.
Oh yeah.
So we're going to be doing it, but in an intimate space. There are going to be 4 other companies doing versions of Frankenstein at the same time. We're going to do a Frankenstein Fest.
Jeez.
Because Mary Shelley's book is like one of the most important cultural central myths that we've now expanded in so many different directions. It's such fascinating. And we'll all be doing completely different versions of the story. And that's really exciting. So we're working with Lifeline Theatre. And I don't think that would happen in another culture. It would be, we're all competing for the audience. We're, no, we want everybody to go and see all 4 shows, or 5 shows.
That's so
and
fabulous.
debate and get a discount at that because you came to ours. And just working with sort of cross advertising. And I think that's a wonderful way for a conversation, a cultural conversation to go.
Well, speaking of a number of shows, talk about your play, Hang. How many more shows are left? And
Yes.
how do people get tickets, and how do they find out about it?
Right, we got 2 more weeks performing at the Greenhouse Theatre. You can also go onto our website, www.remybumpo.com. I know that's a weird name.
Spell that out quick.
REMYBUMPPO.org.
Where did that come from?
Well, it's the name of 2 pets originally.
Okay, thank you. That was
yeah.
short and sweet.
Cats or dogs?
What were they? Dogs,
Well,
cats,
a dog and a
rabbits?
cat, the founder of the company. We allow dogs in the rehearsal room because it makes us more human. Stops people being divas, it stops people being sort of throwing tantrums because pets are in the room. And that tells you a little bit of how we try to do business.
That's sweet. All right, so it's at the...
It's the Greenhouse Theatre Centre for 2 more weeks.
10 more shows.
And the greenhouse is on Lincoln Avenue.
Right. And we have obviously this weekend too, so there are 12 more shows. It's a great show, great cast. Come and check it out. It's a really unique thing. You will go away talking about this for a long time.
Well, Nick Sands, wonderful to have you.
Pleasure to be here.
I'm really grateful I did not slip into the accent as much as I might have.
Well, I talked a lot, so nobody.
That's
had any
good.
time.
You
That's usually-
covered us there. Congratulations on your long and successful run.
Thank
and,
you.
Good luck with this this show. I hope to get to it myself.
Please do. Yeah. Let us know when you want
I
to
was
come.
hoping
Yeah.
to get there before I talked to you, but
And you did all right, kid.
at least Lynn did. So
That's right.
yeah. Bless your heart. Thanks for coming down.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
All
Thank you
right.
for joining us.
You are listening to Live from the Heartland, WLUW 88.7 FM. You can get us on WLUW.org and check us out on Facebook. We're going to have a musical break and come back with our next guest, Betsy Vandercook.